G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to DCS World with Mags, and welcome to Mission 5 in the SU-33 campaign. This is Sweep. So the situation is as follows. After our interception and destruction of the arms convoys coming into the Batumi region in the last mission, Georgia and NATO forces have escalated the conflict in this zone. Georgia has been moving in both mobile and fixed anti-aircraft defences into the area, and NATO has shifted a number of their combat aircraft into the zone as well and has started actively patrolling the area. Today's mission is quite simple. These NATO aircraft are challenging our superiority of the area of operations. We cannot allow this. They're currently preventing our ability to isolate and cut off Georgian forces within the region from resupply, so we're going to shoot them all down. So, the aircraft we're going to be fighting today are mainly F-16C Block 52s. These aircraft are equipped with short and long-range radar-guided missiles along with infrared-guided missiles, and they were in the air before we took off. Now, there is one other thing I need to say about this mission before we get too far into it. I have modified it slightly in the mission editor before we actually started flying. The unedited version of Sweep has you taking off right at sunset, which means by the time you actually merge with the enemy fighters, it is damn near pitch black nighttime. This is fantastic to fly, but it makes for a really awful looking video. I tried to work it as best as I could and it just wasn't going to work, so I reflew the entire mission, but this time I set the time for 30 minutes earlier. This gives us about 20 minutes of daylight to actually play around in the late afternoon with these fighters before we hit sunset, and with the mission taking roughly 30 minutes to complete, including the return, this should have us landing back on the carrier at about the time we would have been taking off in the standard mission. So, what's going on in the mission at this point? We've obviously taken off and we have entered the AO. We are fence in and first missile away. We've picked target up using the BVR mode on the HUD. Now we are firing R-27 ERs. These are extended range, semi-active radar-guided missiles. We do need to keep our nose pointed, or our radar rather, pointed roughly at the target for them to continue tracking and splash one F-16. As you can see, we can manoeuvre a little bit, but we don't want to manoeuvre too much. If we break contact, or radar contact with the target, the missile will miss. Next target is coming up and we've acquired. Missile is away, but we've got a poor angle on this one, and the countermeasures work. The R-27 misses, the F-16 cuts straight across us. Hard left-hand bank into target. Now the second F-16 is attempting to engage my wingman, so I'm going to bring the nose back around as quickly as I can, drop into his 6 and reacquire him on radar, and try and take him out before he manages to take out the wingman. So target is locked. And we're pulling in on his 6, and you can see the countermeasures from my wingman trying to avoid getting shot down by the 16 here. Missile away. 16's deploying countermeasures. Zero effect. Impact on target. Second F-16 destroyed. So, 2 kills for 3 missiles. That's not horrible, but it is not perfect. But the first part of our mission has been completed. The enemy patrol has been eliminated. But that's not all the NATO aircraft in this area. With the patrol eliminated, a second flight of F-16s is currently scrambling from one of the nearby NATO-controlled runways. The runway is actually a little bit further inland, it's not here on the coast. And, well, we're going to have to find them and deal with them as well. So, the first thing to do is send out a call quickly to our wingman and get him to rejoin formation, so we're at least grouped in one area for the start of the next engagement. Second, we're going to dial up the AWACS for a bogey dope. So, as I've mentioned in past videos, requesting a bogey dope is essentially requesting that the AWACS aircraft give us any current information on any hostile aircraft that is in the area. That is their current altitude, their heading, their speed if they have it, the bearing from us to them. Every single piece of information we need in order to be able to actually locate the targets. Once I have the information, put the aircraft HUD into BVR mode once again and bring the nose around and start actively searching for the hostile aircraft, which is what I'm doing now. I know the bearing, or the approximate bearing, to the enemy aircraft, I've got a fair idea where they are on radar, although the glare is absolutely killing me at the moment, being able to actually see what's on that screen. There really needs to be an anti-glare filter approaching the other side. That happens far too often. So at the moment, I don't really have a whole lot, so I'm just playing with my radar ranges, seeing what I can bring in. Now, we do know the enemy aircraft are only at around 2,000 feet. They're likely climbing at this point, but they have just scrambled from a runway, so they're low. And there we go, we're getting some contacts in. Now we have one contact to the left that's popping in and out, because we're adjusting our radar ranges. One potential at long range to the far left. That's actually likely the signal from our AWACS, and then we have one, potentially two, coming from inland. Those are our targets. They're on the right bearing, they're at the right altitude, they're at roughly the range that I would expect them to be. It's possible that the aircraft that's between me and the AWACS could potentially have been a commercial airliner of some kind. There are a couple of Yak-30 transports and commercial aircraft flying in the area. Also possible it could have been a HUI, because there are a few of those flying around the mission as well. Regardless, the final confirmation that the target that I had selected was in fact the target that I was looking for was when I focused the radar in on them to acquire missile lock, and I was getting two contacts. That's two F-16s in close formation climbing. Now, why did I have to go through all this? Well, as I'm sure you've noticed at this point, and you can see there, we're getting a couple of radar signatures back. The SU-33 doesn't have any IFF. It sees target, it shoots target. It can't identify what those targets are. That's the job of the pilot and the job of the AWACS aircraft. So a little bit of searching where you wouldn't have to inside of, say, a US aircraft that has at least some level of target identification built into the RWR. Regardless, missile away on the next F-16. And telling my wingman to get his ass into the fight. Now, I don't want to break the radar lock here at this point, so I'm just trying to keep the nose on. I am ready to maneuver if I absolutely have to, of course. And I slightly misfire. The weapon safety I have set up at the moment automatically selects and fires cannon rather than missiles if I accidentally trigger it. And yeah, I didn't flick the safety off there. My bad, but second missile away. First missile fell short, I imagine countermeasures got it. We should have been in range being in ER, so I don't think that was the problem, but regardless, the second missile hits target, splash 3. And we have the next target on radar at the moment, hard bank in. And we're going to switch the HUD over to vertical scan mode for close range combat. Just try and pick up the target at this point, and there we go, missile lock. And missile away. Impact. And splash 4. So that is the second aircraft, and as far as we know there are currently only 4 F-16s in the area, so we've just taken them all out in one flight. So that will be mission complete. At this point all we've got to wait for is completion confirmation, and then we head home. And there it is, mission successful, time to scoop up our wingman and head back to the carrier. Unfortunately, there was one small problem with that. Our wingman is having a small amount of trouble at the moment. I actually locked him up on the way back, so I wasn't entirely sure exactly what was going on, but as it turns out, that lock-up ahead of us at the moment is actually our SU-33 wingman. As we engaged the third of the F-16s, the fourth F-16, the last one we killed, had actually fired off a missile towards our wingman, and he took hit. Very luckily, his plane wasn't destroyed, but it's pretty knackered. Now, of course, it is just an AI wingman, so I could just burn off, head back for the carrier and not worry about it, but that seems kinda wrong. So instead, we fall into an escort position, and we are going to give our wingman an escort all the way back to the carrier and see to it that he is actually going to make it down. So at this point the sun is starting to get awful low. That sunrise is now looming, but we have made it back to Task Force Sea Dragon and our wingman is on his final approach to the carrier. So we're just going to do a little bit of a circuit of the carrier here, make sure he touches down and clears the landing section of the deck, and once that's done we're going to head up to the end and get ready to make our own landing. And he is down at this point. He's secured on the deck, which is good. We're going to do a nice low pass behind the back of the carrier, then peel off to the right. That'll take us back to the waypoint. We can get ready to begin our own approach. And after about 35 minutes in the air at this point, we are coming back on the carrier, which means we're going to be touching down about 5 minutes after we would have taken off under the standard mission conditions. And you can see that carrier deck is getting awfully dark from here already. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you enjoyed the mission. Thank you very much for watching. As always, check the video description down below for links to all of my social media for those who may wish to follow me there. If you would like to help support the channel, links to my Patreon are down there as well, as are links to my Twitch. And as always, remember to